Hello, everyone. Welcome, 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 Jay. Thank you very, very much for being my guest today. I appreciate it very, very much.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. Now, Jay and I are in a couple of communities together, and we've also met in person. We were at most recently at the Private Money Lending Mastermind in Atlanta.
That was a good
So,
time too. Learning ways other people do things is amazing. It's always good to keep learning.
of course, of course. And today we're going to talk about a hodgepodge of things, and it's always fun. First, I am going to begin by asking I know that the t shirt you're wearing, I think it's Finish Line TC, right?
Yes, ma'am. It
Okay.
is.
Which is your company, correct?
It is. Yeah. It's our transaction coordination company that
Okay.
specializes in any kind of creative deal in all 50 states, Puerto Rico. We've worked in Canada, Mexico. So we've worked in a lot of places.
Very nice. I didn't know you did Canada. That's awesome.
Yeah, we did a few we try to do a few deals up there. There's different rules, but we've been able to like learn things. We haven't closed a deal there yet. We've closed in 48 of the 50 states and closed several in Puerto Rico. So
That rocks. That rocks. Um, all right. So I'm going to start by asking you a little bit about your life before real estate. Where did you
oh, yeah,
come from? Were you always in real estate? How did you get into real estate?
I got you. So no, I've never been in real estate. I actually was in the medical profession. I was a nurse assistant, and then I was a pharmacy tech, and then I moved into the IT space at a hospital local to where I live. I left that job, I don't know, 3 years ago, 2023. Took a job working out of a company out of Atlanta, which is amazing. But during that time, I started watching a lot of YouTube videos, and I did like everybody else, went down rabbit holes. I started with Grant Cardone, but then pivoted
That's who
on
you
one of his
started with?
I started on YouTube, yeah, and then there was one that popped up for Pace on Gator lending, and I went down that rabbit hole till like 5 in the morning one time, and so I kept following all the free stuff because at that time Gator wasn't open. That was actually in October of 22 when I started, and so as soon as Pace opened, Gator back up. I think it was February 23. Like I signed up immediately, like the minute we were on the live, and he said, "All right, it's open." I hit send, and that's how I started in the real estate community. And so I started going through the program, and then I started attending all the live Zooms because then he was doing like those relaunch Zooms. And I was just answering people's questions about contracts because my profession is a chief information security officer. And so I'm used to risk, I'm used to the high value, signing a $50 million contract was nothing. So looking at contracts is something I like to do in my spare
Did
time,
you say
apparently.
chief information officer?
Chief information security officer. Yeah, so I'm a nerd. A lot of people don't think I am, but I'm a big nerd. Um,
Nerds are good. My
yeah,
partner is a nerd. I love that.
yeah, yes.
Yep,
That's
yep,
why him and I get along a lot when we talk.
yes, yes.
But yeah, so and then I just kept doing the transaction coordination, and then I've bought some real estate. I've funded a ton of deals personally and through brokering with other people. So it's been fun. So I've been in it since February of 23. So right at 2.5 years.
Nice. Very good. Well, let's break that down a little bit because you said a lot there.
Sorry.
And I know that on my channel, I do get a lot of people from our communities, but I also get people that somehow stumble in. And I would like to break that down just a bit. You started in Gator, and Gator, I'm in Gator also, and Gator is lending. So, two in creative deals. And when you started answering questions on contracts, but contracts are very important. But Gator is different than TCing. So, can
Yes.
we talk about that difference and when did you decide? Because obviously your heart was in Gator and lending.
Yeah.
And how did you start in that part? Like, what did you do? And then when did you get to TC? And when did you get to actually, acquiring some properties? Because I think I heard you say that. So, let's
I
break it
got you.
down.
All right. So we'll start with Gator. So like the first week, when I said they were asking me questions about contracts, it was all the contracts we have in the Gator program to help protect like EMD and double closing. And I was just able to answer them because I understood the contracts and the paperwork. And that's when off the Zoom, people just started reaching out to me and going, "Hey, will you help me with this?" I had no idea what a TC was. I didn't necessarily want to be a TC then. I was just helping people to help them. And I didn't know how to do things like the things that you need to do for a business owner, fee structure, any of that. So, like my first 10 deals, I didn't even get paid for. Like I just closed them and helped people. So I
Gator
learned
deals?
Gator deals. Yeah. So everything I did at the start was Gator. So it was EMD, or it was a double close.
Okay, let's explain those acronyms.
Yeah, so EMD's earnest money deposit, it's the money you put down based on the contract. To some people say it gives you the right to the contract. It can, it can't, but or consideration. It doesn't give you necessarily give you consideration, but it does show you're serious. And if it's part of the contract and it says you have to deposit the earnest money by a certain date, if you don't, technically your contract is voided. Now, I've only ever seen it voided if somebody never deposited, but like if you deposit it 2 days later, I've never seen the contract get voided because the EMD is in. But I guess theoretically it could happen. And then for a double close, that's where somebody's bringing the funds on the A to B contract, which is the wholesaler gets under contract, needs to close it under their LLC to then sell it to another LLC because they don't want the seller to know there's an assignment, or the seller doesn't want to allow an assignment, or the end lender won't allow an assignment. And so, or huge assignment, and maybe they got a huge assignment on it. And so they have to double close it. And so that one's fun. That's usually a lot of money to bring in, and it's a smaller payout.
And let's talk about the timeline also, both for EMD, earnest money deposits,
Yeah.
and double closing, because they vary a fair amount.
Yeah. Earnest money deposits can be 15 days, 30 days. If you do commercial, it can be 120 days. They hold the money because it's from the time it goes in, from when it's due to it closes. That stays in escrow. Now, if you write your paperwork correctly, you can extend the due diligence period. So a due diligence period is the period that allows you to cancel the contract and get your EMD back. As long as it's written that way. If it's written non-refundable anywhere, you ain't getting it back.
Right.
And so, and then due diligence, it can be correlated with inspection period. They can interchange. So just depending on the state and who wrote the contract. And then, like the state of Texas has an option fee. So you can do the due diligence or EMD, I'm sorry, the earnest money deposit. And then you can do an option fee at a lower amount, which just basically says this is the option to cancel. So let's say your earnest money is 1,000, your option fee is $100. You're going to put in 1,100, but you'll get your 1,000 back if you cancel. You'll lose that 100.
Right.
North Carolina also has the same thing, except North Carolina's is different.
Yeah.
North Carolina, you pay the option fee directly to the seller. You don't put it in
Exactly.
escrow,
Yep.
which
Yep.
is,
That was
and
a
people freak
surprise.
out.
That was a surprise the first time
Yeah.
I was in North Carolina, and I was like,
And clients
"What's
I
that
have freak out.
for?"
Yeah, clients freak out. They're like, "We're told not to wire to anybody directly." I'm like, "You have to. The option fee has to go, or a lawyer or whoever, but it ain't going in escrow.
Yeah,
They don't take it."
because that in North Carolina, it's for the opportunity to go ahead and, deposit EMD and to look at the property more carefully.
Yeah. And
I'm
it's to
like,
keep it
"Wait a
from
minute."
being and it's to keep it from being marketed and stuff like that.
Yes, yes. So, what I found is a couple of owners were happy to have you cancel because they were just gonna go ahead and, collect more fees, and they wanted as much as they could get for them when the market was different. I don't think that
When the
they
market
do
was
that
different.
now. Yeah. So, yeah, EMDs are going to be a little longer term, anywhere from 15 days. It could be 30 or even 60. Like you said, commercial could be even longer. How long do double closes take? I mean, I know, but tell our audience so
Yeah.
they're understanding.
So the prepping for a double close could take a couple days. I mean, you could do it in 24 hours, but the actual funding should not be more than 24 hours. Now, there are rare occasions where you have to have the A to B contract has to clear the filing for the B to C. So it could take an extra day, but it's very rare. But there's all kinds of securities
In
that
the
people don't,
meantime, where is that money?
it sits in escrow. But the issue is, and this is where people can mess up, right? Is that if the B2C lender doesn't send or whatever, like say they get to the closing and they decide not to fund for whatever reason, and it happens, A to B is already closed. So your money's already there. And you can tell title, don't release the money until B2C comes. They don't have to not do it. Like it's kind of one of those things where technically, if the seller and the buyer have sent their money in and they have closed, like the funding is done because it's a cash deal. You're not a institutional lender. And so that's why I always say when you're doing a double close, it's risky not to get a lien protection document. So getting a second lien on the property, or a first lien technically, because you are the funder. So you should always have those documents as part of the A to B.
Have you seen that happen?
I have not in any of my deals, but I have heard of it happen with some people that I really trust in the community. It's not just hearsay, like they've shown me that it happened. And so that's why I say it's a risk. And so you have to weigh that. Now it costs more money, obviously, but that's on your buyer. That's on your wholesaler to make sure that's covered.
Right. Right. Curiosity in that, because I had not heard that myself. In a situation like that, where B2C doesn't materialize, what happened?
Well, from what I understand, they filed a lien position and took the property. Like they took the property and filed and they own the property. So you got to be careful. Like I tell people on double close, it's fun to just fund it, but you need to make sure. That's why it's good to work with title companies and set a precedent with your title company that they will make sure the B2C funds are in and clear to close before they start doing
Before.
anything.
Exactly. That's how we intend to do it.
Yeah.
But I had never heard of a situation like what you just described.
And the thing is, with security documents and security, like you have to do everything as worst case scenario. And knowing that it's happened and knowing that it could happen, you have to treat it as worst case scenario.
Of course.
If you're wanting to protect your money fully. Like some people are cowboys, right? Some people don't care. They're just like, "No, it takes too long to do all that. I don't want to do all that. I don't want to get all the notaries and all that." And I'm like, okay, well, like as a TC, I'm just telling you this is what I do and what I would do. But it's up to you. Like ultimately, it's your money. As long as you're willing to, as long as I got it in writing that you understand the risk, then okay, we'll keep going.
That's interesting. What you're talking about right now is the difference between perhaps just a loan funder, or even if they have a team, they can still be loose, and a transaction coordinator. So let's move this now to explaining what does and how did you go from, okay, you've explained that you did a bunch, you didn't get paid, you weren't looking to do that, you were just looking to help, and that's great. You learned a bunch, I'm sure. And then I'm assuming you joined top tier TC.
So, so my next move was I joined Sub Two actually in
Okay.
like mid March of 23. So like Gator 1 month later joined Sub Two, and I met my business partner there. She was already a TC, Jennifer Cortez,
Oh,
and she
Jennifer is your partner?
yeah,
Nice.
and she likes to tell people when she tells the story that I slid into her DMs, which is 100% true. I did, but I was more reaching out, going, "Hey, like I know how to do Gator really well." She didn't. She knew how to do sub two. So I was like, hey, can we work together? And funny enough, I don't think she meant to put me through a trial period, but she did because she actually was getting a Gator loan on a property her and her husband were buying and needed me to TC it. So I TC'd it. And then we just started working together a bunch on different files. And then finally one night, I think it was like 10 o'clock at night, we were on Zoom working. And I was at the same time, we were both like, we should just partner and make a company. And so we did. And we both had our own company. She had the Finish Line name and I had a different name and I liked her name better. So like I was like, let's keep your name, let's keep on going, like because the name's good.
It's a very good name.
Yeah. And so then fast forward to Top Tier came out that summer. It actually came out right before the first community camp,
Right. A
a
little
couple
bit
days
before
before that.
that.
Yeah.
And to be frank, it had started before then, but it was not in the form that it is now.
So Top Tier as a company
Yes.
was Pace's TC company,
Right.
like that Molly owns and or ran, not owns, ran and all that. The education side and the certificate side and the community side started in a few days before the first community camp.
Yeah, I remember because Caleb was very, very active. He was the number one teacher on that. I mean, Molly, but Molly is also running his business.
Yeah, and so Caleb taught the TC community the TCs, but he did it was open. So if you were in sub 2, you could go to it.
That's
If you
correct.
Yeah, so he was just teaching like paperwork in general, and I watched a lot of his stuff. Obviously, Caleb's a
Mhm,
smart guy,
mhm.
but they actually formalized it into its own community.
That's
So like
correct.
we have stuff that sub 2 members and Gator members can't go to, and
Right.
vice versa, right?
Right. They
But
shut
yeah,
off they shut off the first phase. The first
they
phase
did.
had been a lot of Zooms and a lot of, Caleb was making us go through the paces because I was part of that because I was both in Gator and in Sub 2, and it was free to us at that point. So he was like, okay, it's free for you, but you got to, do this, do that. And there was a group that started to float to the top that were really, really serious. I was not really, really serious because I don't really like contract work. I just wanted to know what makes a good TC. Like who's in there? What are we teaching? How's it going? I didn't realize that it was going to go to a certain point, and then because there was a plan for Caleb to take that national, but it became a point where New Reach said, no, we're going to do this with Molly, and it's going to be called top tier DTC. That's
Yeah.
when it became a different thing. And Caleb
Okay.
kind of went off and did his thing, and top tier TC became the third leg of the stool.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah,
I
because
didn't know I didn't know any of that, but okay.
yeah, it was very interesting. Well, it's
Yeah.
interesting to see how things are born.
Yeah.
This would have been maybe an analogy to the pregnancy. I mean, it was just in its infancy, and Molly knew so much, but she was super busy. And then she started teaching, and then, it just evolved. And Ashley Mason was in that.
Yeah, I'd worked with Ashley since I started ZCN, like, I talked to her a bunch.
Yeah, she's a wonderful person. And
Yeah.
so she kind of started going through the Caleb training, and then top tier TC took format. Most of the TCs that wanted to become formalized and recognized through the certification went to top tier TC. And that's when that started. And it has been very interesting to see. At first, it was going to be just TC work, but it has evolved. Well, not just, that's a big thing, but it was going to be strictly TC work. But it has evolved now. And a lot of the ladies and men who are at the top, they're mostly women, but people at the top are also specializing on helping to organize companies and to run companies for you, like Molly does. So I love it. I love that this thing is a living, changing creature. And you got in right when it was at the top tier TC level that they started it.
Yeah.
Were
Yeah,
you
and
at the very first community camp?
I was.
Okay. Okay. I was there too, but I didn't, there were so many
Man, there were
people.
so many, and we were all over the place.
Yep.
And yeah, and so yeah, so like I actually took my certification at community camp and become top tier certified. And then I've got the operator badge. I've got all the badges, and I like doing the operation side too. I like helping people figure out how to make their business better. And that's a great thing.
It goes well with the coordination of the paperwork.
It does, but it's completely different, right?
Yes.
Like when I do operations, I don't do people's paperwork. Now, my company will, like, as part of me coming in to help you set up your wholesaling business or your buy and hold business or your lending business, we can run all the files that we need through my company. But it's more about like how you're marketing, how you're getting inbound, outbound, how you're doing follow up, what systems are you using, what are your parameters, are you doing KPIs and getting reporting, all of that stuff. That's more about what I come in and look at.
Interesting. Then that part would fit very well with your tech nerdy part.
Yeah, yeah,
I love
it
it.
does.
I love it. So now you've established this uh TC company with Jennifer. How many of you are there now?
So we actually have two other partners. We have January Batten and Jason Bates are our partners in it. And then we had one time, man, TCing's fun. It's a tricky thing with people, right? We at one time had like 20 TCs in our company, but we reined that back in, and not everybody's a good fit. We ran an internship program for a year, almost a year, letting people come in. There's pros and cons to that, trying to help people, but it is what it is. And so we keep it pretty tight. And then we're one of the only ones that has a dedicated, I think we're the only one actually that has a dedicated post closing team. So they don't do anything but set up post closing for you. That's
Nice.
handling your that's handling your mortgage transfers, your insurance, setting up lights, HOA transfers, everything they can do to so you don't have to worry about it and make sure it's done right. So
Do you
um
offer that as a separate service, or is it
we did. It's an add-on, so not everybody needs it, not everybody wants it. They try to do it themselves, which is fine. We also offer due on sale fix, so we'll fix due on sale for you if you get it.
I got that taken care of by one of the big lawyers in Texas when mine got called.
It's probably my favorite lawyer, so
Probably, probably. But boy, I'll tell you, that sure makes your blood pressure go high.
yeah, it's funny because, like, you'll have, so knock on wood, I've never had any of our files called due on sale, but we've had other people that come to us and go, "Hey, can you fix this? I'm doing one right now." And it's like, "Yeah," but when you call the lawyer or the trustee and you're trying to work with them, they're like, "Let me find out from Rocket Mortgage." It's like, "All right, cool, I'll let you find out." And then you email them every 3 or 4 days, they're like, "Still nothing." So I'm like, "Wait a minute." So I'm like, I'm verifying, like, what do we need to do so we don't have this happen? They're like, just keep paying the mortgage. I'm like, okay, well, he's been paying the mortgage for 6 months while this has been happening. So just keep paying the mortgage. But anyway, we got to figure it out. Rocket Mortgage is tricky. They like to
I know.
say they can't do things, and then when you pull out the law and you pull out the rules, and you're like, it says it right here that we can. They go, oh, it does, and it's funny because I've done it on 3 files with them, and they've said the same thing every time. And then when I show them, they go, "Oh, you're right." I'm like, "It's and it's the same person, which is funny. It's the same lawyer." I'm like, "Come on now," but it is what it is. But
Yeah.
yes,
Yep. Yep. And yes, I myself was such a big chicken butt. I couldn't. I was scared stiff. So it was expensive, but I was grateful to pass it over. I think that I hadn't even met you at that time, but I probably might not have been. Like it's really good now that you have done a number of them. That speaks for itself. But I only got that person as a recommend. Well, there were two that were recommended, and I spoke with both of them. And Chai and Prakash, they came in. We got you, Effie. All right, open up your wallet. You're going to this guy. I was like, okay. And I was grateful, very grateful, because it's one of the real fears of a
well, now the
creative.
cool thing is that you've walked through it with that lawyer, you can duplicate it. So if it happens again, you can do exactly what he did. And that's what I tell people. Like when they're like, "Do I need to use you on all of them?" I'm like, "You're on everything I did." So technically, no, you can just look at what I did and do it. If it'll work. I can't again, there I made a post about this the other day to somebody like there's no cookie cutter. Like anybody who goes, "Oh, we just do this." You can't make everything fit in a box, right? And so square peg doesn't go in a round hole. I don't care how bad you push it. So not everything is the same. So there are multiple ways that you have to, for lack of a better term, skin the cat when it comes to due on sale clauses. But there's a couple big ones, and there's people out there who teach like land trust, right? And I'm a big fan of land trust, but there's people who teach like that 100% not allowed due on sale. That is a lie. It will if it's not done correctly and you don't file it correctly or you misfile the wrong thing. It can cause due on sale. I don't. There's not anything that's 100%. So
Yes, and I think that creative real estate is not for the faint-hearted.
no,
And I think that when you first come into it, you need to really be careful, and you have to partner or get people who know their stuff, because the eagerness of really wanting to do something can get you stuck.
that's the thing. It's like I posted earlier because somebody made a post looking for a TC and I got tagged. And they were like, I need somebody who could do things within 3 hours. All this. I was like, dude, if you're wanting it that fast, you're wanting somebody who just pushes a templated paper. That's not going to work. Like you're going to get in trouble, legal trouble, financial trouble. Something's going to happen because I won't do that. I won't just push paperwork. I have to look at the deal. I have to understand the deal. Does that mean I may take an extra 24 hours to get you what you need? Yes, but it's going to be right. And it's going to be, let me say it the right way. It's going to be as right as possible that I can do because I'm not a lawyer or a real estate agent, but I'm going to make sure that it looks good and it flows and you have the protections. And I try to explain that to people, but they want it done now. They're eager. They're this, they're that, and it's like, look,
Yeah.
fast is not always good.
Yes.
It's not.
Also, I think that sometimes people feel, hey, I have a piece of business. Who's going to get it? You know, and people like yourself and myself, I'm not doing TC work, but for the funding end, we don't have to act out of desperation. So that's when you say, wait a minute, bud, this is too fast. I got to know what I'm looking at, and I'm just not going to take it. And then they're what? Sorry. Yeah. So I think that unfortunately though there are people that kind of have to do it, and then they get themselves in trouble.
Yeah,
Being stable financially is huge in getting into real estate, because if you quit your W-2 and you're wondering, oh my God, where am I going to pay the bills from? Where am I going to pay the bills from? Then that's when you don't see the danger signs of things that you and I can see, because we're not in that position.
correct.
So I think that the W-2 is a superpower for a lot of people, and or setting yourself up in a way that if you lost 200,000 $200,000, God forbid, your family isn't going to be on the street.
Correct. For sure.
So that is a very important thing about choosing who to work with, and also how the work is done. Is it going to last, or is it going to get you in trouble? So now we've talked about the transactional coordination as a business, which I applaud you. You're in with really good people. And of course, you've got an excellent name. So that's really, really good. Let's move forward to the next thing that you mentioned because you went boom, boom, boom. And I was like, wait, I really want to talk about all of them because I don't want people to be checking in here and saying, I don't know what they're talking about. Never mind and check out. I'd rather them fast forward because they already know this. Okay, that's okay. You can do that. But I think it's for everyone. So
Right.
talk to me about transactional funding, which is what I do. There's my company along with Raz. And I know what transactional funding is, but I also know that you are really good for the paperwork and for how you're doing it. So let's talk about transactional funding, which is the EMD, the double closing, and what's that other thing?
It has a lot of names now because people are taking it and running with it, but it started as the Morby method, and then some groups call it the Stag method, some groups call it the preferred equity method. I mean, it's all the same.
Some
And
people
it
call it the seller carry bag. And I
yeah,
suspect it was around before PACE,
yeah,
but
it's
it wasn't called that. I think it was called short term gap or something of that sort. But you're
yeah,
right, it has a lot of different names. But let's explain. How would you articulate that?
yeah. So I mean, so it's really a simple complex thing to do. It's essentially depending on which way you go. If you go the preferred equity, let's start that way. That's where you're going to get a contract with the seller. Let's say they want, for easy math, they want $100,000. You go in and offer them 50K cash at closing and get them to do a equity finance of the 50K remaining. And then you go get a lender, the SCR or traditional, whatever you want to do, hard money lender. You go and you get them to fund 70 to 80% of the actual value, which is 100 grand. And so you're going to get $80,000 at closing. You're going to pay 50, and then you're going to keep 30. You owe the DSCR lender, you owe them 80 grand in a first position. Then you owe the seller 50. So now that $100,000 house, you're already at
Let's
130.
talk, break that one down just a little bit more because you kind of a little bit skipped over it when you talked about just equity. We have the DSCR lender in place first. They're going to lend us the 80% of
Yeah.
100 grand. So we've got 80K. And we have the seller agree to supply the equity and the funding for the equity to 50K. So now what they in essence are doing is they're going into a second lien position and letting you take out a loan to them for 50K.
Well, yes, but in the preferred equity, and when you do it as preferred equity, they don't get a second lien position. They become a member of the LLC
Okay.
after the close with an equity position in the LLC, and they get a distribution of their funds because their funds come in as a contribution. Then they get a distribution of their funds. Now,
So
on the
so so wait a minute, because that's a very interesting way that you just outlined that, and I want to make sure that everyone follows it. So in that particular situation, they're not just allowing you to take out, they're not just giving you 50,000 for a second lien position. Instead, they're going into your company after the first one has closed. So now they've joined your company, and I guess it's not the business of the DSCR lender. That loan is still in place. Are they on your operating agreement? Or are they an actual partner?
they are going through from that point forward. They're on your operating agreement, and then on the operating agreement, it specifies their roles, their responsibilities, and it you that's where you put in their distribution, which for all intents and purposes matches what you would have done on a second lien position.
Okay.
So they're going to get $500 a month for 60 months, and then they're going to get a balloon payment of, and then they're going to come out of the LLC.
Okay. So their equity is that they actually are in the LLC that owns the company. So they're pretty secure. It's not just second position.
They're pretty secure, yeah.
And then they are getting the distributions in the same way you would have set it up if it had been a loan on second lien position.
Yeah. The only other good thing about it is
Nice.
the only other good thing about it is you can, again, not an attorney, right? But I've worked with plenty of them where you set up the operating agreement on a default to where they take over 100% ownership of the LLC. So
If
they
if
don't,
if what?
if I default. So like say if
Okay.
it's my it's my LLC. If I don't pay the DSCR lender, and you can set it to whatever, it could be 30, 60 days, whatever. If I don't pay them, then they can enact full ownership of the of the LLC. And when you do that, they now still have to pay the DSCR lender to keep the property, but they don't have to go through foreclosure. They don't have to foreclose on the property. So it saves them money in the long run if there was something to happen. Because let's just face it, Morby, Preferred, all of it's a risky one for a seller. It really is a risky deal
Yes.
for a seller.
And
And
why is
so
it risky?
because if you own a house free and clear,
There you go.
or even if you don't own it free and clear, let's say you have $100,000 mortgage, you're selling it for 200,000, and they pay off that 100,000, but they now owe a DSCR. They now owe a DSCR lender 180. If you foreclose or you take the property over, you owe the DSCR lender. Now, your name is not on that mortgage. It'd be like taking it over sub two. Your name is not on that mortgage, but your name is on the deed. That property will get taken, and there's nothing you can do about it if you're not paying the mortgage. So it's really risky for the seller.
Yeah,
And
because I see 2 problems, and maybe I'm missing one, I don't know, but the opportunity for over leveraging is right there, all right? Because the DSCR lender's already given you 80, you want 50 from the seller, you bring them in, but 50 and 80 is a little bit more than 100. So over leveraging, number 1. And number 2, the person who has structured this, how much have they put in?
nothing.
Exactly. So if they get tired or if they decide things get rough and they stop paying, the seller again is going to get stuck. Even if he's in the operating agreement, he's going to have to start paying for that 80,000 when he actually owned the property free and clear to begin with.
Correct.
So it is an interesting vehicle. It can be very good, but it leans itself to problems. So I think we would both agree that this is not something for someone who is starting off in real estate.
Right. And well, I mean, it can be depending on the deal, but the big thing will be over leverage. Like you said, I look at the deals and I do underwrite it to a degree of, are you over leveraging to a point where it's not done? It's not for people who don't understand real estate. So if you don't understand how appreciation works, you don't understand how your property will gain value, you shouldn't be doing it. Because I've turned down a number of these where they're over leveraging, and it's not necessarily bad to over leverage. Like a 20% swing is okay if your balloon is high enough. But when you're doing a 2-year balloon, there's no way you're gonna be able to pay that off. Number one, here's another thing. DSCR lenders do not do non prepayment penalties. They have they have 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 prepayment penalties. Factor that in if you're gonna have a balloon less than 5 years. They don't put contingencies in their contract on appraisal when it's time to pay the balloon. There's a lot of things because you're not just gonna pay unless you're gonna pay the balloon in cash. Now, look, when you get as big as like Pace in them and your portfolio's humongous, you have the money, that's fine. You can be a little riskier when you have the money. But when you're starting out, don't buy a risky deal just because you think it's a good deal. And I turn down a ton of deals. I'll look at them and be like, dude, you can't afford this. Like the money doesn't make sense. Well, the lender will lend it to me. I'm like, that's awesome. But how are you paying the lender back?
Exactly.
And so, like, I had one that wanted to get it. They were going to get after closing like $2 million on a $2.4 million purchase. The craziest I ever seen. I was like, "There's no way you can do that. Like, you're going to end up owing like $4 million on this property. Like, it doesn't make sense. It's never. And it was like a single family home.
Oh my gosh.
It's never gonna double in appreciation. Like that's a 50-year doubling, unless Google buys area there and sets up a campus or something. Then maybe it'll work. Where this
Well,
was, they
and
are
you
not.
have to
There's no
keep in
natural
mind
resource.
too that in this, why would a seller do it? My
So a
understanding is
seller,
they want the price that they want.
well,
It That's one of the reasons, especially in places like Florida. Okay, right now, Florida's depreciating very, very, very quickly. It's not
yes,
appreciating. So if you finance it at 120% of its value and it's continuing to drop, that is not 20% difference. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Now, eventually, yes, it should turn around, but we don't know that. And you have to pay for it in the meantime. So if you're like, well, what do I care? I don't have anything in it. Well, that's what gives people who are doing this a very bad name. We don't want that. The seller will get messed up.
And I prefer like when clients buy mortgages from other investors. You're going after like single family people, like they're buying their home versus buying an investment property. Multifamily is great for Morby because multifamily is going to appreciate a lot better and faster. You know, Morby's good. The way I buy mine, that I prefer to buy mine, personal ones, is I'll offer 65% to cash you out. So you're out of the deal. There is no seller finance. The seller has no risk anymore.
So whatever the listing price is or what they would like, if it's appraises for that, if that's a fair market value, you just give them 65%.
So yeah, because what I'll do is I'll go in and see what it looks like. I'll see how long it's been on market, and then I'll say, look, you're not selling it, and it's because it's way over market. You're never going to get a loan over market. What if I gave you this number, and it's usually 65 to 70%, just to be gone? Like you're gonna get that as cash. Like that's what you're gonna net, and minus any taxes you haven't paid because I can't pay those. But and if they say yes, then I go and I get a 80% DSCR loan. At the end of the day, do I make 50 grand like everybody says? Number one, you don't make money. You acquire debt of 50K. Now you have liquid cash, but you acquire debt. You're still paying it back. I hate when people say you'll make. No, you'll get cash. You do get cash. But I'll try to get them out, and then I may only get 5 grand after everything's all said and done. But hey, I have a property that I now know I can service the note because I'm only servicing one note. It's a good portfolio rental. I'm going to get depreciation on it. It's going to appreciate for sure, especially because I
In the
already got
long run,
20%
I would say
equity.
yes, but in the short run, I would say which market?
Yeah, well, yeah, well, so in the markets I buy in, that's
Yeah,
another thing. Like you got to be tight with where you buy,
yeah.
but
So I'm
it's
hearing you're a long-term buyer.
on the right property. Yes.
Okay. Do you ever buy any of these short term? Like for short term? I mean, not for short term rental or anything, but I can see what you're saying is working rather nicely. You know, if you're going to get an 80% DSCR lend or even 75, and you're going to pay them 65 or 70, and that's it, and it's clean, and now you own it, you should be able to service it. And if you're keeping it long term, even in a market like Florida, I would say that long term you're going to be okay.
Yeah, my
If it's
rental.
going to be 6 months, a year, we don't really know what's going to happen in that time. It could continue to be going down, and if you had to sell it, it could be an issue. So working it out long term, I can see, but if it's shorter term, like how would you work this out if it wasn't long term?
So short term to me would be like a fix and flip. So you would
Yes.
come in and you would come in and buy it at 50% because it needs work. You would get a 12-month hard money lender that doesn't have a prepay penalty. You would get them to come in and pay 90% or 80% purchase price and 100% of the rehab. As long as your numbers worked out, at the end of the day, you're going to get paid up front. You're going to get paid on the sale.
Okay.
And then if you can't sell it, you burr it into a DSCR loan for long term, and you have it long term and you rent it out. And again, you're still going to have it's going to be an appreciating and a depreciating asset. But generally speaking, if you only owe 80% on it and you're paying down the loan, you should not, I'm not saying it won't, you should not depreciate faster than the loan does. You know what I mean? Like
Yes. Well,
unless you get into a really risky area, right? Like Florida's hard because of hurricanes and all that, right? But if I'm buying in Nashville, Tennessee, unless I'm just buying in the absolute ghetto and I'm overpaying, I should not have depreciation outrun my loan if I'm at 80% to start. I
didn't Trump
shouldn't.
say something about that? You know, Trump, our president.
Yeah.
Something about depreciation in 2 weeks or something? I think he
Yeah.
said, "1st year depreciation's coming back." I'm like, "What the
Oh
heck?"
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
He said they're gonna put on where you can claim 100% depreciation in the first, yeah. Which is great. Like, but what I'm sorry, I meant value depreciation, not taxes. Value depreciation. The value of the house shouldn't depreciate, even if it starts to get bad, should not depreciate as fast as your loan if you're starting at only 80%. But when you're at 120%, you're already upside down. It's like a car when people who trade in cars every year, they keep getting upside down and $10,000 car is 32,000 because you've traded in 100 cars. That's different. But
Okay.
when you're buying correctly, you should be okay.
Do you do Morby methods or seller carrybacks or whatever you wanna call them, any different way than the one you just described of bringing
Yeah.
them into an operation agreement?
Yeah, so I work with brokers and I work with lenders that I've been able to actually meet with them, show them how it works. I've told them all of the everything. Sellers doing this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, we
And
should tell
so
them everything. Why should we
yeah.
be hiding it? That's a
Well, I
problem.
mean, I agree, but it's the way people have seen it done and the way it may have been taught before without people going back and looking like, how old was that 5 years ago? Like, it doesn't make sense anymore. Because there are lenders who don't care, they'll allow it. There are lenders who absolutely do care, and they won't allow it. So guess who you don't use? You don't use that lender, right?
Exactly. Go find another one.
But so we do seconds, and then you've got other ways of doing it, like silent seconds, which is very risky for the seller, but it can be done. If the seller understands the risk, again, I will only do that with an investor. I would not do that with a mom selling her house. I wouldn't do that. I would tell them not to do it because they don't understand the risk. But somebody who owns 100 house portfolio and they're willing to do it, they understand the risk. You're
Yeah,
an
they know.
investor. Like if you said I would do it, I would say, okay, Effie could do it. She's an investor. She
Yep,
understands the risk.
yep,
But yeah, so we do the second, we do that, we do the operating agreement. Cross collateralization is probably my favorite thing to do because that 100%, other than they have to foreclose, that 100% protects the seller and protects the mortgage because the collateralization's on a whole different property, has nothing to do with the loan. You can keep it
right.
separate.
Yeah.
And I think as long as you're telling everybody everything, everything's in writing, everything's above board. I know some people are like mortgage fraud. It's not, as long as you're above board and you're working with people who allow it.
When is the silent second, allowable?
So silent, when is it allowable?
Yeah, I mean, when does it work?
Whenever you want it to. So the way the silent taken, well, I mean, no, seriously, like, and I say that justly, but silent taken is strictly you're getting a property, you're getting a promissory note, and you're getting a notarized deed of trust or mortgage, and you just don't file it. And so let's say I'm buying your property, you're gonna do a silent taken for me because you're being nice, but then I don't talk to you anymore. I don't call you, I don't answer your phone call, I'm not paying you. You go to the courthouse and you go, "Hey, I'd like to file this," and you file it so that you're at least protected, and then you can do your foreclosure, you can do whatever you want. Now, there's 2 risks there. 1, 3 risks. If I sell the property before you file it, you wouldn't know. That's a risk. The other risk is if I go and get another loan and they file their document, you are now in 3rd position, which is a horrible position to be in, never be in 3rd position. So, yeah, those are the biggest risk on the seconds, doing seconds, silent seconds.
So, when would it be advisable? Because I'm thinking exactly the things that you're saying. They sell the property? Too bad, it's gone. They take out another loan? Oh, you're now in 3rd. So, when is it okay? Because I wouldn't do a silent second, I don't think, but convince me. Tell me what
Like I said
when it would work.
like I said, if you're working with an investor, let's say you and I have a great relationship, and I know friends, you don't do it with friends, but I do things for my friends that you wouldn't do for a stranger. And let's say my friend needs to do it, and I have the investment property, I want it off my books. I may say, okay, yeah, go ahead. I'll just hold it, and if you're not coming to the barbecue every Saturday like you were, we might have a problem, and I'll go file it. But if you have then you have other people where you tell them, like, "I can't get the loan if you're gonna be in a second. I need to be a silent second." Again, only
I
if that
see.
other person's an investor would I say, as a TC that's helping with that deal, I would only say to the seller, "Hey, it's okay," if they're an investor, because I would be able to say, "Hey, it's okay, but here's the risk. Just know your risk, know what you need to do, and you're good to go." Trying to explain that to, a mom and dad that are just trying to move on from a house because 'cause they're in a bad situation is very hard.
Yeah, yeah.
And the problem is, and I'm not saying people do it on purpose, but people do it on purpose, is they prey on that, right? And so they'll push how great it is, but they don't explain the risk. And I've made posts about this, PSAs like, you're lying to sellers. Don't lie to the seller. Tell them everything. Because I'm going to. If you bring me in to do your deal and you're like, Jay, I need you to work with the seller. Okay. Make sure you understand in my service agreement, it states that I will not lie. So I will tell the seller every single thing they ask about. Now, am I gonna go in there and go, "Hey, this" no, but if they ask me a question like, "What's my risk?" I'm gonna tell them everything that's the risk. If they ask me for advice, of course, I say I'm not a lawyer or a real estate agent, but if it was me as an investor, here's what I would do. Um, And I've had some deals where sellers canceled the deal and nobody got upset. Like that's the thing. That's the great thing about having contracts and having agreements and making sure people initial every box so that if they said they didn't read it, you put your initial beside it. So I'm sorry. But in states, I will not do that. I protect the asset. I do not, in my thing, it says, I don't care who pays my bill. I protect the asset. So if you're a lender like you, I'm protecting your money. If you're a seller, if you're a buyer buying somebody's home, I work for the seller. Regardless that you paid me, I'm protecting their money or their house to the best that I can because that's the ultimate goal. It's not to make you rich, it's not to do that. It's to do the right ethical work and protect the asset. That's the goal.
That's awesome. That's
And
exact
I will turn down deals if they're too risky, and I will tell them why, and I will refer them to a TC that I trust that probably would do the deal, but I won't do it because I tell people all the time, it's easier for you to say Jay didn't take my deal. I can defend that versus saying Jay screwed my deal up. Because I had somebody who said that, and when I went and shown all the history, they were like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't screw your deal up. You did. I didn't do it. You did it." And so but that's a lot more work for me, and it's a lot more, what do they say? Perception is reality, and I don't wanna have a negative perception.
Yeah, I hear you. I completely hear you. Talk a little bit about what you have managed to acquire for yourself as far as assets. How many properties do you have, and have they been done? You said that you like to acquire them by going in with 60%, 65% cash. Talk about, like as investors, because we're both investors, you have the asset side and then you have the lending side. Both like to have both, but talk to me about your assets and how they were acquired.
So, alright, we have me and my partner, we slowed down a little bit. We have 5 current assets, and they're all bought we have subject to and seller finance.
Nice. You
Yeah,
did
so
a
we
seller finance for yourself then.
yeah. And then one of them that we bought sub to, we sold on a lease purchase option on a wrap. So,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So, the reason I do that is I can evict a lot easier than I can foreclose in that
Yes,
state
yes,
that
yes,
the house
yes. Yeah, I
in that
like
state the house is
these
in.
options I think are good.
Yeah, now you
The wrap itself, like just a wrap without the lease option. I mean,
like, you can't do it in Texas, but where I'm at, you can do it. So now, when I was saying about mortgages, that's our strategy is to go in, and we've had some under contract, but they were in areas where we just couldn't get lending. We had it agreed to. We were going through the process. Right now, I do have a triplex in Chicago that we're closing on. It's a Morby, and I don't want to buy in Chicago, but my partner wants it, so whatever.
that's where I am.
Oh, you're in Chicago? Okay.
I'm
I'll
in
send you the
well, I
address. You
shouldn't
tell me
say
if it's good.
Chicago. I'm Chicago land. Is this in Chicago?
I'd have to look at the address. I forget where it's at. My partner finds the houses. I just do the financing and the paperwork and make sure everything's right, and then we go from there.
Okay.
But
So you have a triplex that's under contract or that you purchased?
no, it's under contract, so we should be closing in the next 2 weeks.
You have a
It's
buyer for it then?
no, it's ours. We're keeping it. It's
Nice.
a rental. It's rented. Each unit's rented out at like $2,100 or something. So we're gonna cash flow like 3 grand a month or something on it after debt servicing.
Well,
So
later, before we say goodbye, I want to know where that is. I'd love to see it
okay, yeah, I'll
because
look it up.
I'm fine. You know what? When I first came, and I'm trying very hard to change my mind. I hated Chicagoland because my body really suffers in the winter.
Yeah,
Arthritis, right? And anyways, a million reasons why I didn't like it. And now I'm going to be a grandma 2 times. My daughter's expecting again.
congrats.
So I realized I
More
can't.
to babysit.
Nah, I don't. I keep my babysitting at a limit because I'm trying to make money for the
I know.
grandbabies.
I know.
But the point is that I turned a corner and I'm looking at Chicagoland for real estate.
See, I like Chicago as a rental, though I don't because y'all's landlord laws are a little
And that's why I
hard.
want to know where is it? Yes.
Yeah, they're a little hard, but he likes it and it's cash flowing. So
Is he
and
in
then
Chicago?
no, he actually lives. So I live in Arkansas, like 10 minutes from Memphis, Tennessee, and he lives in Memphis. So we actually met in Gator at a Gator at a Gator meetup, and it was like a peanut butter and jelly type situation. As soon as we met, we started talking. And then like 2 weeks later, we had an LLC and started buying property. Like we were fast.
I love
And it's
it.
been fun. It's been fun. Like we have a good time, and we can meet up with each other anytime we want to because we're literally 20 minutes apart total. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's
but
awesome.
but I have other partners that I'm doing RV parks with, and so we've got 4 LOIs out, and they're all Morbies, And so we have 4 LOIs. We have 2 that are like okay with doing it the way we want to do it, and they're kind of down to go. One of them is a great RV park, but it has no land, and so it's you can't go get a loan on it. So it's a whole different thing.
Wait a minute. An
It's
RV park without the
yeah.
land?
So it's on like an 80-year lease from the government, from the state. So great thing is you don't pay taxes. Bad thing is I can't go get a loan on it because there's no asset. So I guess the trailers they own, I could asset those, but they're not a fix, so that doesn't really have a lot of value.
And you
So
can't get a loan on that?
no, because what are they gonna lend on?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. The first time I'd ever seen this was with the endowment lands at the University of British Columbia, Canada. UBC is the largest university in BC. And just around the university, I mean, the grounds are humongous, but just around the university, the government decided, nope, can't sell this, but you can do 100-year. They don't call it a purchase because you don't actually own title.
It's a lease. It's just
Yeah.
leasing it. Yeah.
And they do. The houses there are super expensive and really nice, and they do have loans. So I was like, well, that's interesting.
I'll have to find somebody to do it. What we're looking at doing, if we can get them to agree to our number, we'll probably go to a debt fund and get a debt fund to fund the business side, because the business makes great money, so the cash flow is great. So debt funding the business would make sense, and I have somebody for that. That I've already kind of preempted with. Like, here's the problem. I start off with the problem. I got this great deal. The problem is it has no asset, so it's really just if you buy like a SaaS company, because I also own a SaaS company. If you buy a SaaS company, what asset do you have other than the IP? Nothing, but people buy them all day. So you just got to show it. You got to work through it.
Interesting. So is it that way because it's on parkland, out of curiosity?
It's because it's government land and they wanted it for tourism. So the government owns the land and they lease it to them. And I think it's a 50 or 80-year lease, and they've had the lease for 5 years. So there's plenty of time there. And then the benefit of that is you don't pay any property tax.
Yeah.
So while that helps with the cash flow, again, for a bank or a traditional lender, it's hard.
Yes.
I'm not going to say you can't get it, because I don't ever say can't. I don't do absolutes, right? But for an actual like institutional lender, it's going to be hard to get it. I can't figure out how to do it without an asset, because what are they going to take if you don't pay them? Like, they can come get the business. I'm like, cool, you gave me $5 million. You can have it. You bought it. Good job. Have a good day. Like, it doesn't make sense. I could cross collateralize, right? Like, we could put other property up, but I don't want to do that against and neither do my partners, against an RV park. Like, you wouldn't want to do that. So we're gonna work through that one. It's on our list because it's a beautiful park. But if it doesn't work out, I'm also not an emotional attached guy. Like, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. It is what it is.
That one would make a great podcast. If you manage.
We already talked about, if we get it, oh, it's going to be streamed podcast. Like, my partners are going to look at one in Florida this weekend. I couldn't go. My son has a thing. So, but if we get that one, it's a very interesting property. So we already talked about, we're going to be going down there just to film different content.
Nice. Well, speaking of that, I'd like us to make sure we cover a little bit about your socials and where people can reach out to you because, we've covered a couple of very interesting topics, and I'd love to have you back at some other time, Jay, because you have so many different pies
I do.
and your
My
fingers
brain
are in
doesn't
it.
stop.
Yeah. So I hope you'll stay open to that.
Yeah.
Talk to us about how people can reach.
Yeah. I mean, the quickest ways to reach me is Facebook or Instagram. It's at DJ Holder. And then I post
Wait a minute. It's
at the THEJAYHOLDER.
okay. So it's your name, Jay Holder, with the word article the in front of it. The Jay Holder all together.
Yes, ma'am.
And
And
that
then
is for IG and
that's for
Facebook?
Instagram and Facebook.
Okay.
And
I
then
tried to find you on YouTube and I didn't. You're not on YouTube, are you?
I think it's at DJ Holder on YouTube too, but I don't have but like a couple podcast episodes. I really don't do a lot on YouTube. I just don't have time. I do TikTok though. If you go on at DJ Holder on TikTok, like I post a lot on TikTok because I'm posting a lot out there about my fitness journey and all that, and trying to keep people, let me say the right, holding myself accountable by posting means I'm going to do something. And you'd be surprised how many people reach out to me going, hey, you didn't post today. And I'm like, oh, let me hit send. I made a draft, but I didn't post it because it wasn't good. But I've gotten better at that to where I try to post 3 times a day, whatever it is, whatever I'm thinking, some quote I hear and put it to what I'm doing.
Well, I'll have to think about TikTok because for those of you who might not know, Jay has been on an incredible journey towards health. Talk about that for a little bit because it is what got me in the trouble I'm in now. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I started, I don't know, I think 14 months ago total. I was 492 pounds. And so I just started changing my diet, lifting weights every day, did not do any cardio. And I got down to
How long were
like,
you doing just weights?
so I did it up until probably 3 months ago. No, 4 months ago because I started walking. So I did it to up to four
And
months
what
ago.
was your weight from you started? Give us a start of weight and end of weight with weights, and then talk about when you added cardio and where you're at now.
I got you. So when I started, I was at 492 in
How long had you been there?
January of 24. I don't know because like I didn't really go to the doctor. I didn't like weighing, obviously. I just knew I always thought I was just big, athletic because I played high school football, college, semi-pro. I'm a two-time national sumo champion. I've competed in strongman. So I was just like, I'm just a big guy. But I started seeing pictures of myself. And I'll tell you what, it's very vain and I hate to be vain. But my problem was I'd get on an airplane and couldn't buckle the seatbelt. And so I was like, you know what? That sucks. This last trip when I went to Dallas for squad up, I asked for the extension because I was used to it, sat down. It's like, hey, let me try. Buckled it and tightened it. And I was like, oh, I don't need the extension. So I gave the extension back in front of everybody. I was like, hey, you can have this back. I don't need it anymore. And so that was vain. I don't care. It is what it is.
Hey, it's
But
hard earned. It's hard
yeah.
earned.
But so I started at 492. I am as of today, I'll give you the beginning and the end of where I am today, and then I'll tell you the middle. I weighed 297 this morning. So
Yay!
I'm almost 200 pounds. Uh,
Jeez. And you said 14 months ago?
14 to 15 months ago. Yeah.
That's pretty quick. I lost 100 pounds once in 12 months. You're talking 200
Yeah. But
pounds
when you're
in
that
14. That's a lot.
when you're that big though, just changing your
I know.
diet
The bigger you are,
minimal.
yes, I
Yeah.
understand that.
Oh, now I'm in the struggle bus because now I'm losing 2 to 3 pounds a week instead of 10 to 14 pounds a week. So I mean, and then I'm fluctuating with inflammation. Anyway, so like 4 months ago, I started just walking on the treadmill, inclining. Then 2 months ago, I added the step mill. And then now I've gotten into running because I'm about to do 6 5Ks between. I'm doing my first one at the end of this month, and then my last one is in the middle of December. So there's 6 lined up.
Gee, stop it. There's no freaking way it could ever, 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 ever even stay like a million miles behind your shadow.
So, I mean, here's the problem. And my wife, so I've been married 20 years, 20 plus years. Like, what we've been together 23, we've been married like 20. I just say 23, it's easy math. 23 years, and she'll tell you on everything I do, I'm either 100% in or I'm not in at all. Like, so I'm the guy who's like, hey, we're going to start running. Everybody in my family has running shoes. I got like 5 pairs. We all go running. My son just got his pair. He's running the marathons with us or walking. We're going to walk the first couple. I want to be able to run the St. Jude. So I got till December to be able to run 5K. So I'm doing this couch to 5K program, trying to get there. Um,
That's awesome.
so the family too, like my wife has lost 90 pounds since she joined me. She didn't start when I did, but now we work out 4 days a week in the mornings. We walk every night. Then we have a midday walk if we can. My son is doing jujitsu now and playing football. He was 133 pounds. He weighed in this morning at 111.
Well,
I don't make
how big is he and how old is he?
He's 11. Now he weighs 111 pounds.
Okay.
But so he's dropped 21 pounds. But here's the great thing. I didn't make him do it. I didn't tell him he needed to do it. He just saw what we were doing and he did it. My other daughter who's getting married in next year, she's in the gym 3 days a week now. She's doing right. My other daughter plays golf and she's running with golf and doing all that stuff. She's losing weight. So it's more about, and it's not about the weight, it's about the fitness,
The
like trying to
lifestyle
be,
too.
yeah. And so like again, I told you I'm all in or I'm all out. So like when I eat the same 5 meals every day. I don't change it. I may put some hot sauce on it one day and some mustard on it the next day, but I'm a fat guy at heart. So if you give me options, I'm going to make the worst food ever because I'm gonna be like, oh, this will taste good in there, and then add this and add this, and now my 350 calorie meal is 700 calories, and I blew it up. But so like I work with a trainer, so I was getting ready for in September to do the summer shredded bodybuilding competition, which is a transformational bodybuilding competition for people. that have either gained or lost weight. For me, I don't see people gaining 150 pounds. That'd be kind of weird. So it'd be people who lost 150 plus pounds in less than 4 years. I postponed that, not because I wasn't trying to get there. My brother asked me if I would move it to June when they do the next one so he could do it with me. And I got a brother who's we're 18 months apart. So I was like, dude, that is not even a question. I could just move. I could just, that's why I was like, I'll do
Awesome.
5Ks. It's fine. I'll do 5Ks. I'll go run. But
That's awesome.
so I'm trying to do all kinds of things that, I want to be able to do before I leave this earth.
I hear you. I hear
As
you.
long as God allows me to do it, right? Like that's the
Yep.
big thing.
Yep.
God's got
Yep.
to allow
Yep.
me to do it.
But you've been very inspiring. And, it's interesting to see when I saw yours, I was like, have to get off your ass.
If yours is crazy, I sent you a message. I want to know that app you use to track your steps because I was like, oh, how did she do that? My app doesn't do that. It tells me like an average of the week. I'm like, I don't want that. I want to know exactly how many I did for like the whole month, like you did. But that's
It's a
crazy.
freebie. I don't
400,000
wanna pay for it. It's a freebie, so I'll make sure that you get it. But the thing is,
steps, and you ain't even finished August yet.
well,
Like,
it's 20,000 steps, a day, and, that does add up much more than I've ever done before, there's no doubt about that. So when I posted the steps for August, because this is a 1 month for me, it's at, 400. I'm not finished today, but 400, let's say 50, 450,000
yeah.
steps
That's what I'm
in.
saying. I think I saw it what yesterday or day before. It was like 400 some thousand. I was like, that's crazy.
I know.
That's more interesting than what I'm doing because I did a day the other day on a rest day. I just walked and we went and walked the bridge here, and you can walk across the Mississippi and back. They opened it up.
Nice.
I did like 16,000 steps. I thought I was gonna die. I couldn't imagine doing 20,000 steps every day because my average is like 10. That's crazy. So that's even
Well, I
that was cool to
realized
see.
that it is a little crazy, but I did commit to it. And as you said, if I'm in, I'm 100% in too. So I'm going to finish this through for August. And then I think, one of the things that's hardest about this is that it takes so much time.
Yeah,
So what I'm going to do, I think in September is I'm going to shorten it from 20,000 a day. It has to be a minimum of 20,000 right now,
yeah.
but to change it from 20,000 to 15, and then once I get regular at 15, then I'm gonna see if I can keep the amount of time for 15 or maybe even go down to 10, but increase the speed,
Okay, yeah,
more towards a little jog because I'm 72, I don't wanna die on the road.
yeah. Well, do you have a walking pad?
No, I don't have a walking. I don't really no, I kinda don't like doing the in a gym or inside. I'm not good at that.
I gotcha.
I love
Well, it's just
walking
like when you're
outside.
doing your meetings and stuff. That's what I found the other day. Yesterday, we had to go to the bank to sign something. I'm a mile from my bank. I was gonna go, and then I told my wife, I was like, "Hey, I'm just gonna walk." And so we walked it together. I took 2 Zoom calls or 2 meetings with clients while I was walking. It was like nothing. So I was like, I bought a walking pad, and I'm still a heavy. I mean, I'm still 300 pounds, right? So it would stick. So I got rid of it. Now I got a commercial treadmill in there. My wife's like, "You bought a commercial treadmill, and it's in my living room." I was like, "It was $500. It was $1,800 or $1,800 treadmill. It was a good deal." Now
Yes.
she uses it more than I do because I like to go to the gym. So she'll use the treadmill when she needs steps because she's on the step journey. Her goal is to beat me every day. She doesn't even have a number. She'll just be like, "How many you got?" And I'll tell her, and she'll be like, "Ah, ha, ha, I got 500 more." And I'm like, I'm sitting at my desk like right now. I spent an hour talking to Effie. I can't. And she's probably done 500 steps doing laundry and walking and doing. I can't do all that. I'm
I
busy.
love it. I love it. I have taken to making phone calls and to talking on meetings as I'm walking, and people kind of know that I'm sweaty and stuff. They don't care. I may end up with a treadmill come the winter with Chicago, but
Well,
I'm
but you can
trying.
go on Amazon. You can get a walking pad. It's like $99, and it'll sit up under your desk, and you just stand up and walk
Yeah,
at your
I have
desk.
a standing desk, so
There you go.
it's not. I like standing. I just to me it's the key stuff that is hard when you're walking.
Yeah.
But anyways, I thank you because you inspired me to doing something crazy and I haven't died yet.
Well, I'm telling you, when you posted that and you tagged me, I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I was inspired that, and honestly, I didn't know you were 72, so that's even better. Like honestly, that's even more amazing because not a lot of 72-year-old women are going to be doing that. Let's just be honest; it's just
Yeah.
not a
Well,
thing.
I got to get my weight down and I am not where I want to be yet. I got, like you said, the 10-pound weeks. I remember that when I lost that 100 pounds a decade ago, more, 2, 3 decades ago. But now my body had been at whatever it was, 175 for so long. It's been really fighting me. And, now I'm down to like 167, but I want to get down to 160. So that's
Yeah,
why I know that come August, the end of August, I've got to change my philosophy and, give myself a little bit more time to do more work and change, cut it down to whatever, 15, even 12 if I have to, but start to increase the speed because I think my body needs a different kind of challenge.
yeah.
We'll see.
It does. I mean, that's kinda why I did the step meal. Like, I did the step meal the first time for 5 minutes. I was like, "I'm about to die." Now I'll go for 30 minutes, and while I'm pouring sweat and it's bad, I'm good. I'm doing 1,800 stairs in 30 minutes. So, I'm like, "Hey, I can climb to the top of the Eiffel Tower. I'm good." Like, whatever that big building is that everybody talks about. I can climb that and I'll be okay. Obviously, but,
Well, I
yeah,
want
I
to
agree
say
with
thank
you.
you again for that very much.
Yes, ma'am.
And for the rest of you guys, we shall see you in a week from now. And I want to say thank you, Jay. Thank you for the conversation. It was wonderful. There were so many things you explained. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. And let's stay in touch and watch him. I'm going to go on TikTok, guys, thanks to him. This is funny.
It's fun.
All right.
It's
We
fun.
shall see you next week. For now, we are saying goodbye. Bye, everyone.